Hi everyone and welcome back to Chips Weekly. I'm Diana and in today's episode we are diving into one of the most exciting frontiers in semiconductor innovation, the hard tech era. My guest is Vinet, CEO of Quobly, a company pioneering the next generation of semiconductor design and fabrication. We talk about Quobly's technology, its unique FD-SOI approach, and how the company is shaping the future of advanced chips. It's a fascinating conversation about vision, deep tech, and the future of computing. So let's jump right in. Hello, Matt. Thanks for joining me today in Chips Weekly. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you, Diana. Well, it's my pleasure to be with you.
I would like to start with a quick introduction for our listeners who may not know yet what should they know about Quobly and what's the mission of the company.
Okay, so Quobly is a French quantum hardware startup. We were founded in 2022 and we span off from CELT and CNRS. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do we do in Quobly? In Quobly, we build scalable manufacturable quantum processors that are based on silicon qubits. So what makes us unique is that we use proven semiconductor processes and we work directly with the semiconductor industry, with ST Microelectronics, not to name them. And so you understand that we are on a mission, and our mission is to make quantum computing industrial right from the start. And it's not just about science. We took into account industrialization right from the start.
So it was right from the start that you wanted to go into industrial, to focus on industrial application and not only on scientific ones, let's say.
Exactly. And maybe I will tell you a little bit of background of the co-founders and how we decided to launch Quobly. I made my PhD in quantum physics 25 years ago and then switched to the semiconductor industry where I spent some time developing technologies for Moore's law. That was, let's decrease the size of the transistors. And I worked for IBM, I worked with Global Foundries, I worked for ST, Soitec. I spent 5 years in the States developing a technology that is called FD-SOI technology. It's a transistor technology that we then transferred to the industry. That was on one hand, and on the other hand, the devices, the transistor that we were fabricating for the semiconductor industry, I was sharing them with my PhD lab so that they can do physics with the transistors, that they can study the fundamental charge and spin properties of transistors of the semiconductor industry. And that's how we made a first qubit in 2016 out of a transistor that was originally made for the semiconductor industry.
Okay, so the first idea, the first picture.
Exactly, that's where we got the first picture. And in the same time, that's concomitantly, I met with my co-founder, Tristan Meunier. Tristan Meunier made his PhD with Nobel Prize winner Serge Haroche in Paris. He was working on neutral atoms. He was one of the pioneers of quantum engineering. And when we met, the two of us, he had the quantum engineering skills. I knew how to fabricate qubits from the semiconductor industry. So we were, okay, let's join forces so that we can scale the number of qubits and use them to do computing. And that's how we started working together already in our research teams. And then we co-founded Quobly in 2022. So it's to tell you the
background, right? How this idea came, right?
Exactly, and it explains why we always think in terms of industrialization. We understand that there is a trade-off between science and industrialization, and our job is to go from one first to always true. And so there are some trade-offs to make when you do that. Yeah. And this is what we are currently working on.
Yeah, thank you. So let's dive into the technology, because Quobly's approach is quite distinct from most of the big players. This is this so-called FD-SOI approach. How does this FD-SOI process make silicon qubits more scalable and manufacturable compared to other quantum hardware platforms?
Okay. So today we have many ways to fabricate qubits. I would say that from a scientific perspective, there is no difference. All the qubits are now, since the last 2 years, all the qubits have reached quantum properties that are compatible with error correction. Fidelities are above 99%, getting close to 99.9%. A coherence time is a couple of times couple of orders of magnitude bigger than the operation of the speed of operation. So the question now for all the systems is to scale, and this is a big challenge to scale. And what we want to do is to scale at cost and with a footprint that is compatible with existing data centers, so that we can be like GPUs. So this is what Semiconductor is bringing. This is what silicon is bringing. Silicon actually tackles the 3 biggest challenges in the way of scaling quantum systems today. It's scalability, its cost, and its size. Scalability is because our qubits, silicon qubits, are small. They are actually 1,000,000 times smaller than superconducting qubits, or even trapped ions.
Chip, right? Mm-hmm.
And so you can put them on chip. And not only that, but you can also co-integrate the control electronics. You can have your qubits and your transistors that make the control circuits on the same chip. This is an innovation. We do quantum integrated circuits, and that the co-integration of the control electronics and the qubits on chip is the secret sauce to design data center, the quantum computers that are 10 square meters in footprint, where the competition plans for thousands or tens of thousands of square meters. So at the end of the day, it translates in the cost of the machine that we're proposing.
And what do you see as the biggest engineering challenges? Is it materials, control electronics, noise management, yield?
I would say that yield is a big challenge. Today we are capable of fabricating a few tens of qubits in silicon, and you will understand why yield matters. And what we have to do to get this yield is that the first demonstration were made in R&D pilot lines, because they have the same tool set of commercial fabs, but they don't have the quality of the yield. To benefit from the quality of the yield of the semiconductor industry, the industry that fabricates our cell phones, we have to switch to commercial fabs, because that's where we get the yield and the quality and the reproducibility. And that's what we've been doing since 2 years. We have signed a unique exclusive agreement with ST Microelectronics to develop and produce our qubits in their clean room, in their fabrication facilities.
And how does it work? Is it purely now at ST's the research happening, or is it still in the labs, scientific labs? How does it work in practice?
How does that work? It works that we are fabricating our qubits in ST facilities, in their commercial facilities, and we've got a team of Quobly assignees who are in ST. And this is definitely in the industrial fab industrial line of ST, and we still have some activity with CLET, with their R&D pilot line. CLET is a research technology center in France, and it's like IMEC in Belgium. So we're still working with CLET to develop modules, advanced modules that are then transferred and implemented in ST line.
Okay, so it's cooperation still. It's not purely production.
Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
We still
Not
have
yet.
some development.
But it's coming, yeah. Could you tell about this Q100T project? I was reading about the projects that you have, and could you explain that and what this milestone is representing?
The Q100T project is the project of transfer of the technology in ST commercial fab line. Mm-hmm. And with this project, we will design, fabricate, and demonstrate 100-qubit chips with co-integrated electronics. And this is the first step to scalability, because this chip will be the world's first 100-qubit chip manufactured in a semiconductor industry fab.
Thank you. So when we look at the business and ecosystem side, because scaling quantum hardware also means scaling collaboration. And I've read that you closed just 19 million seed round and receiving additional support from France 2030. And what does this funding enables you for the next step?
Okay, so we closed this seed round in June 2023. So now we are preparing Series A. What this initial funding allowed us to do was to prove silicon qubit industrialization possible. It means that we have demonstrated all the quantum operations in CLET, taking into account the constraint of industrial technologies. And we know those constraints as my teams developed transistor technologies in the past. So that's what we did in the seed round. The seed round was also used to put in place all the methodologies and know-how of the semiconductor industry that we don't speak much about, but that are instrumental for technology development, namely simulation and statistical characterization. So now we've got high value, low temperature statistical measurement methodology, and we have a full multi-scale simulation that goes from ab initio to kind of compact model for the qubits.
Okay, yeah. Let's move to the customers. So I would be interested if you already have the pilot programs, early partners testing the technology.
Sure, we have several kinds of customers. First, we have the sovereign customers, and in our case, this is France Ministry of Defense that has chosen us to develop a large-scale fault-tolerant quantum computer. So we've been selected to procure.
That's interesting. That's quite an honor.
Yeah. That's for us. That's very interesting. That was our first. That was one of our first contract, and this is interesting. This is long-term contract, and this is really challenging to make us stick to our roadmap. So this is our first customer. Then we also provided a logical emulator via OVH Quantum Cloud. And this is the second type of customers that we are dealing with. That's the cloud service providers or the hyperscalers. And we have a roadmap of deployment of our machines in their clouds. And last but not least, we are also setting up partnerships with end users to develop the algorithms that will be executed on our hardware.
So you have both industrial customers and institutions, so both
Exactly.
in person. And when do you see the external users running the workloads on Quobly processors? Or is it already happening? Or
Yeah, it's not yet happening. It will start end of next year
so
with
soon.
it's with the early adopters, and it takes a while to develop a computation technology. It takes roughly 10 years.
Sure,
And currently we are at a stage where we're building the ecosystem that will run on our QPUs and that will create value for the whole industry. But the real value creation for the industry, for the end users, we expect it beyond 2032, after we have reached 1000 logical qubits. But in the meantime, the ecosystem has to be built. So we already are offering access to our customers to develop, for instance, all the software stack that is mandatory to operate the hardware.
So we are talking about the hard tech era, right? So, and how, from your point of view, the Quobly fits into the new generation of deep tech companies?
That's a very interesting question.
Why do you think this is the right moment for the hard tech era?
So the question is maybe why now in quantum?
Correct, yeah.
And I would say that now last 10 years, there were early prototypes made with labs technologies that demonstrated that quantum was possible, that started building an ecosystem. And now we need a path towards the millions of qubits that are mandatory to build the quantum revolution. And that is what we're bringing. What we're doing is that we're building this path to millions of qubits at an affordable cost, so that there is a quantum revolution that benefits the whole industry.
The next question, I think everybody might have been asked you, but how do you see Quobly's role compared to companies like IBM, Google, or PsiQuantum? What makes you different?
Well,
I mean the technology itself, I understand, but maybe also the strategy, mission of the company. How do you see it?
In the mission, I think in terms of performance, we share the same ambition. We want to build large-scale quantum computers. IBM and Google have chosen superconducting qubits. PsiQuantum focuses on photonics. We leverage the semiconductor industry. This makes our system smaller and data center compatible with a cost structure that is far below the competition. So what we're bringing is really the quantum revolution inside, the silicon revolution inside the quantum revolution. We're bridging the gap between the semiconductor industry and quantum to democratize the access to quantum computing. This is really what is the mission, the mission for the company. We're democratizing the power of quantum computing.
Do you think it's fair to think of Quobly as Europe's industrial hardware challenger in quantum?
Like Europe?
Yeah. Challenger. I think it's one of the biggest names, right?
We definitely, we were the underdog as a technology, but everybody agrees that silicon has a potential. There's a consensus, and we are the best position to exploit this potential because of our ecosystem, because of the 25 years of semiconductors that we have we've been in. So now we are really aiming at becoming the worldwide leaders. And after 2032, where it becomes really difficult for the other technologies to deliver our value proposition, which is affordable affordable large-scale quantum computers.
If I take the outlook and look at the future, what milestones should the industry and our listeners look for from Quobly over the next 12, 18 months? What are the next plans?
Okay, so next 12, 15 months. Next year, watch out when we are going to publish our 2-qubit gates in ST technology, the first 2-qubit gates produced in a commercial fab. So that's the next milestone. And then we have the demonstration of co-integrated electronics with our 100 qubits, which is a 100 qubit chip. That's the next milestones. So watch out our customers also. We're gathering a pretty solid ecosystem of customers. So we will make announcement. And
looking forward to hear whom you have.
I would say
any partnerships? Do you consider any other companies other than ST in semiconductors? Or is it for now your biggest? I mean, of course, it's the biggest, but only silicon manufacturing side.
ST will remain our only partner to manufacture the silicon part, but we are contemplating other strategical partnerships at the product level, more looking at key components of the products.
Thank you very much. So what would you call would be the success for you by the end of next year?
Definitely the success will be to have a 100 qubit chip with co-integrated cryoelectronics, which gives us a quantum leap with respect to the competition.
Sure, thank you very much. So I wish you a big success, and for sure must be happening. Thank you. Thank you, Maud, for this conversation and for having you today here.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was such an inspiring discussion with Maud from Quobly. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you'd like to learn more about Quobly's work, I've included the links in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode if you enjoy the conversations about the future of semiconductor and technology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Chips Weekly.